This is Community Means Strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, somewhere where we can be free. Our Soul Matters theme for this month, as most of you know, is Beloved Community. For most of us that end up in UU congregations, community is central to what we are looking for. When we ask newcomers to our congregation what brought them to us, most mention some kind of longing for community, and not just community, but community that is authentic and welcoming. As I mentioned in a sermon a few weeks ago, the phrase beloved community was coined by Josiah Royce, an American philosopher who taught and wrote in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And he saw the beloved community as a goal, the best of everyone working for the best for all. The beloved community was, for Royce, a vision of what might be and a means of measuring whether something was worth pursuing or not. Royce wrote these words in 1913. Every proposed reform, every moral deed is to be tested by whether and to what extent it contributes to the realization of the beloved community. When one cannot find the beloved community, one needs to take steps to create it. And if there is not evidence of the existence of such a community, then the rule to live by is to act so as to hasten its coming. So Josiah Royce saw the beloved community as something that was both sometimes called the now and the not yet. In other words, it was something that we can realize in a small way here and now, while also accepting that fulfilling the broader vision will require work that extends beyond just us and beyond just our own lifetimes. Royce wrote about the beloved community as something rooted in loyalty, or in his words, in the practically devoted love of an individual for a community. Communities that are organized around that larger concept of the beloved community are not groups of people who march in lockstep with one another. The beloved community is not about everyone believing exactly the same thing, or even necessarily agreeing on a common destination. Instead, the beloved community is a way of being together, and it's something that we long for, even if we don't know where exactly this longing will lead us. One of the most, I think, fundamental truths about being human is that just because we can't see exactly where we are going, either as individuals or community, does not necessarily mean that we are on the wrong path or are headed in the wrong direction. In fact, every journey of any significance includes those moments when we simply do not know where we are going and the way forward is obscured or in shadows in some way. But there is still something that pulls us forward, particularly when we are journeying as part of a larger community. With this idea in mind, I'd like to share two things with you. The first is a poem titled Longing by Julie Cadwallader Staub. And the second is a song called Woyaya, or We Are Going, which was one of the anthems of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. First, this poem titled Longing. Consider the black-pole warbler. She tips the scales at 1 ounce before she migrates, taking off from the seacoast to our east, flying higher and higher, ascending 2 or 3 miles during her 80 hours of flight until she lands in Tobago, north of Venezuela, 3 days older and weighing half as much. She flies over open ocean almost the whole way. Oh, she is not so different from us. The arc of our lives is a mystery too. We do not understand, we cannot see what guides us on our way. That longing that pulls us toward light. Not knowing, we fly onward, hearing the dull roar of the waves below. There's another aspect of beloved community that I'd like to mention, which is that it is something that moves and changes. In other words, beloved community is not just a way of being, it's a way of moving, and it moves toward ever greater inclusion and welcome and justice. Communities that are based on the concept of beloved community are not static, frozen things. They change themselves each time someone new or different joins them. While some communities are based on the idea of exclusion, beloved community is about ever expanding inclusion. There's a story that's told by Margaret Silf about a group of Aboriginal people in the Australian outback. For years, these people had lived in relative isolation, really almost total isolation, carrying out their routines and their sacred rituals for decades and centuries. But one day, a missionary arrived from Europe. The tribespeople made him welcome, and he was eager to learn from them about their sacred pathways, just as they were willing to learn from him about the story of his God. They listened to his teaching, and some of them began to attend Mass led by the missionary every day. And some of them never attended Mass, and some of them attended when they felt like it, but they all lived contentedly in community. Then, after many years, the first missionary died and a new one was sent in his place. But this new missionary had a very different attitude. He gathered the people all together on his first day and told them that they must attend Mass, otherwise they would go to hell. And also they must immediately stop all of what he called their pagan practices. And so some of them attended Mass every day, and some of them never attended, and some of them attended when they felt like it. In short, nothing changed until the tribal chief died. Now, the tribal chief had never attended Mass, but his wife attended daily. Imagine the consternation, therefore, when the missionary priest announced that the tribal chief could not be buried in consecrated ground, that he could not be buried in the cemetery churchyard as his wife wished. The elders consulted with all the people of the tribe, and it was decided to comply with the missionary priest's dictate that the tribal chief must be buried with all the ancient ceremonies. Was clear that this could not happen in the churchyard was also clear. So the people of the tribe carried out their funeral ceremonies just outside the fence that bordered the churchyard while the priest looked on, powerless to intervene. Night fell, and the chief had been duly buried with full tribal honors. And in the night, 6 of the strongest young men of the tribe came along and moved the fence that surrounded the churchyard so that it extended to the chief's place of burial. And so it came to be that the chief departed to his eternal rest from consecrated ground after all. The beloved community is not centered on finding ways of excluding people or beliefs, as that second missionary attempted to do, but rather on finding creative ways to be more inclusive, to move the fence when needed in order to extend and expand notions about what is sacred ground and what is not. Beloved community is expansive, and it's not just about thinking alike or being like-minded. Dana Worsnop explores this aspect of beloved community in this reading titled, I Want to Be with People. It goes as follows. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they are getting at. And I know that they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a great adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. There's one more piece of music that I'd like to share with you. This one is from Leah Morris, a musician who over the past year has shared her music with many UU congregations and other congregations around the country. And this particular piece is called Side by Side. It's going to take me a minute to navigate there, so please be patient.
When I hear your voice, I almost cry. And when you laugh, it makes me sigh. When I read your words, I wonder why we're together now, more than ever now.
And though distant you may seem to be, you really aren't so far from me. I can feel you here right where I am. If you close your eyes, maybe you can.
Sing to me now, sing me a song, the one where the mountains and the sky come crumbling down, and still we stand side by side. When I see your face, oh how you shine, a precious light, a star divine.
How your beauty just reflects back mine. Hold out your heart like a lifeline.
Sing to me now, sing me a song, the one where the mountains and the sky come crumbling down, and still we stand side by side. I say to you now, I sing you a song, the one where the mountains and the sky come crumbling down, and still we stand side by side. side by side.
All right, thanks to Leah Morris for giving us permission to share that. Let me see if I can navigate back to my notes. So I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of our evening with these words from David Breeden. May I be all in for beloved community. May I be all in despite the challenges. May I be all here for beloved community. May I be ready for the beauty because I long for the possibilities. Yes, I am here for beloved community. May I see the beauty of you in community, of us in community. May we be the beauty of beloved community. May we be the dream together. We join here for beloved community.